From being one of the most loved online couples of our time,
Losing a boy who's jacked and kind.
to one of the most criticized parents on the face of the internet.
On Mother's Day, it is all about giving the children the joy of getting to celebrate the mom, okay? It is not fair on Father's Day to say like, oh, the dad's gonna go off and golf and the mom's gonna stay back with the kids. No, 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 no.
Matt and Abby have gained a lot of attention for their stunts, outlandish remarks, and irresponsible behavior online.
For us, like, divorce is just not on the table. It's not an option. I think people go into marriage thinking divorce is an option. We are literally living in a man-hating culture, and as a mother to a son, that makes my heart really sad. I feel different down there after birth.
Yeah, actually. I feel like it goes back, but it doesn't go back to exactly how.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day, and I was kind of surprised to hear you say that, because you'd never.
This pair even went as far as putting their kids in harm's way for their selfish interests.
TikTok's Matt and Abby Howard are facing criticism for leaving their 1- and 2-year-old sons alone in their room on a cruise.
Today we'll be showing you a different side of this couple, while maintaining a balanced look at the situation, the big moments in their personal lives, and revealing what most people fail to show about their life story. Matt and Abby Howard are a popular American couple who rose to fame by sharing their family life on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
I let my 81-year-old grandma pick out my outfits, and here's the first one. I don't usually put my belly button on display post babies and hernia surgeries.
They met in 8th grade and started dating long distance through high school. Matt and Abby were so sure about each other that they both chose to attend Missouri State University just to stay together. They started off studying acting, but pretty soon they switched things up. Abby went for elementary education and Matt picked finance. Then came the big moment. Matt popped the question in front of Cinderella's castle at Disney World.
I'll keep the pictures saved in a safe.
It couldn't have been more magical. Abby's dream proposal came true and she said yes. They got married in the summer of 2019, right after their sophomore year, marrying at 20 and 21. They began their married life as college students, which only added to their college experience rather than slowing them down. In the same year they got married, back in July 2019, Matt and Abby launched their YouTube channel. It all kicked off with a fun outing video titled Matt and Abby Vlog 001. In that first episode, they took a trip to Chicago, explored the city, and even tried some unusual foods, possibly alligator or snake. The video only got a few thousand views at first, but it was the beginning of their climb to internet fame.
All right, we're here. We're in Chicago. We're doing a vlog.
From there, things slowly started picking up. They came across as the perfect couple. Sweet, smiley, and full of good vibes. Just two gentle souls starting a new life together, and people were naturally drawn to their story. Viewers loved watching them grow as a couple, and later as young parents.
Every person that is like 40 and above
They're
gives
like-
to talk like,
You guys just
pump the brakes.
pump the brakes, get through school.
When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in early 2020, everything changed. Matt and Abby both lost their jobs, and school moved online. With extra time on their hands and nowhere to go, they decided to focus on social media. What started as boredom quickly turned into a full-time hustle. Around the same time in 2020, TikTok was blowing up, and Matt and Abby saw a chance to grow their YouTube channel. They jumped on the app and it worked. By the end of that summer, they had thousands of followers on TikTok. After leaving their college degrees later that year, they packed up and moved to Hawaii, ready to start a new chapter.
About to fly over to Kona. Kona's part of the big island of Hawaii.
After spending about a year soaking up the sun in Hawaii, Matt and Abby made another big move to Arizona, where they live now.
Because we haven't really told some people about leaving Hawaii. I feel kind of bad.
It happened so fast, and I personally...
All through 2020, they kept showing up online, sharing their lives and slowly growing their brand. They were doing well metrics-wise, but things really took off in 2021 when they shared some big news with their followers. They were expecting a baby.
I really don't think I'm pregnant, but I can't sleep because I can't stop thinking about it. I would love to be, but I'm like scared to take a test because I feel like it's just gonna make me sad.
This was the first video where they shared the news about the pregnancy, and it blew up with millions of views, making it one of their biggest hits at the time. That's when they realized they were onto something big. And like most creators, once they saw what worked, they leaned into it.
Are you serious? Honey, oh my God.
There was so much drama at that moment, but honestly, something about it felt a little off to me. It's like he already knew she was pregnant and the whole thing was just for the camera. Still, it was a sweet moment they shared with their fans, and a lot of people found it really touching. Something always seems to go wrong when people try to build their brand around something as sensitive as having kids. One small mistake and it can turn into a big problem. For Matt and Abby, this was the point where things slowly started shifting. Now let's go into some controversies. While Matt and Abby were living in Hawaii, they were having a great time making content and selling merch with their usual catchphrase, "What's up, dudes?" But things went bad when they decided to put "Aloha, dude" on their merchandise. Many locals felt this was cultural appropriation and they didn't take it lightly. They were criticized and called out for using a word that holds deep meaning in Hawaiian culture just to sell products. For many locals, Hawaii is a sacred ground with a painful past. In 1893, the U.S. overthrew the Hawaiian kingdom, and ever since, Native Hawaiians have fought to preserve their identity, traditions, and land.
Behind Hawaii, and we moved there, and we honestly didn't move there not knowing that. I did a whole huge college project my last semester about the history of Hawaii and how it became a state and how it was, like you said, taken illegally.
Yes.
And
now looking back at what happened in Hawaii, Matt and Abby couldn't have been more mindful. Hawaii is a place of history, and many locals still feel the pain of how the U.S. took over their land. With that in mind, Matt and Abby should have shown more understanding in how they represented themselves and the culture while they were there.
So, yeah, we came in with we really knew a lot of people that lived there. I feel like we were very well informed, but there was one thing that completely slipped our minds.
Aside from being called out for insensitivity, Matt and Abby have also faced backlash over how they film content at hiking spots. They've been warned not to share the exact locations of their hikes, because when fans show up in large numbers, it can overwhelm the area and cause problems for the locals. But despite the warnings, their locations are easily found out.
not ignorant.
Yeah.
But obviously we were new there. And so you have to, it's really a time to just listen and learn.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we were trying to do. It's very hard doing that under the public eye. We came in.
They were honest about what happened, and for most people, a mistake like that could have just been corrected and quickly forgotten. But when you have a big audience like Matt and Abby, even small mistakes can cause a lot of damage. With so many eyes on them, doing the wrong thing can spread fast.
And moving to Hawaii, you go into any store in Hawaii, you see aloha like all over the place. Everyone says aloha to you if you're a tourist. Like, it's just, it's a very special word in the Hawaiian language, and it means hello, it means goodbye, it means so many different things. And so naturally we're like, we should start saying aloha, dudes, to open.
The word itself holds deep meaning and is cherished by the locals. But from what Matt said, it seems like he saw it as just a trendy word to use for their merch. To Hawaiians, it was disrespectful, like something sacred and meaningful was being used just for fun and to make money. I know the context is different, but it's someone like using the N-word on merchandise just because African Americans say it themselves. The internet also had something to say about them. One user claimed they were idiots and tried to put the word aloha on their merch, and it just isn't the vibe. They moved back. Another user claimed that they left Hawaii because of the hate. Someone even criticized Abby for her overly emotional responses to issues, calling her a spoiled brat.
The world was caving in. Like, it's so weird how, like, I'm fully an adult.
Yeah.
And, like, this online hate was affecting me so much.
Basically, the internet wasn't taking it lightly with them for trying to exploit something so cultural.
Hate pages is really what it was.
Yeah.
Were bringing all this hate, telling this narrative that we were, you know, exploiting the Hawaiian language.
Yeah, and exploiting the culture, and that our merch was like this way of trying to monetize off of Hawaiian culture. And that was like,
it's unfortunate, but the problem with arguments like this is that they don't always hold up. At the end of the day, the whole point of making merch is to sell it and make a profit. That's how business works. So when people say Matt and Abby were exploiting something, well, that's kind of the whole idea behind any smart business move. Good businesses spot an opportunity and use it. Whether it's a catchy phrase or a popular trend, the goal is to turn it into sales. It may not always feel great, but it's how the game is played.
Which is just, honestly,
people were tagging us on their stories. People were DMing us. We got some very aggressive DMs, especially.
Dude, we got death threats. Like,
I wouldn't know if I would go as far as to say...
yes, we did.
If they really did get death threats, it's not like that's something someone would just forget. Matt didn't seem too eager to make a big deal out of it, but Abby thought it was important to bring it up. Still, you can't help but wonder, were there actually any real death threats? Or was it said just to make the situation feel more serious?
People were telling us, they were saying they drove past our house. They said, we'll show you what we do with people like they called us howlies.
Yeah.
Things got so bad in Hawaii that Matt and Abby were scared to even leave their home. After getting all those angry DMs, they felt like going out in public could put them at risk. And then they went on a rant about cancel culture and talked about the good they did with the merch money.
So yeah, we donated all profit to a local Hawaiian charity that helps support teaching the Hawaiian language to kids.
It's in preschools.
Which is
It's
actually really
sweet.
cool.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
And while all of this was going on in Hawaii, Matt and Abby didn't say much. They smiled, laughed, and acted like everything was fine in their videos. They didn't let their fans know what was really happening behind the scenes. It wasn't until they had left Hawaii and felt safer that they finally opened up in this video. The video was a success, as most of the comments they were getting were mostly positive. This user, who claimed to be a native, gave an outstanding take on the matter, starting with an apology for the hate they face, and went on to say not only was the land forcefully taken by illegal treaty, but Hawaiians were banned from speaking Hawaiian, dancing hula, or any cultural practice for that matter during that time. Imperialistic views were forced, and they were punished for not abiding. I speak Hawaiian. The language is so special to us because our entire culture is tied to the Elehu language. We only have oral history passed down for generations. I see the reasons why Hawaiians are so protective, but hate is never the answer. Another fan emphasized the fact that most people didn't know they were going through something like that while they were there. Being a sometimes reckless couple, probably because they're still young, they ended up in yet another controversy. On July 10th, 2022, Abby gave birth to their first child, a boy named Griffin. Matt and Abby were so excited to become parents, and they shared every step of the journey with their fans.
I was just telling Abby, what if we did this crazy idea called, oh, you good?
From sleepless nights to baby's first milestones, they let everyone in on what life looked as young parents. One of their most popular TikToks, Day 26 of Being Parents, showed Matt gently rocking Griffin in the early hours of the morning. It went viral with over 14 million views and 2 million likes, proof that their audience loved seeing them step into parenthood.
I tried rocking Griffin. I tried walking Griffin. We did every possible thing to calm this kid down, and it seemed like no matter what I did, all he could do was...
But before Griffin was even born, one major thing that caused a lot of issues was that they streamed his birth. The very first moments of his life were caught on camera and shared online. For some fans, it was a beautiful, emotional moment, but for others, it wasn't ideal.
You are so strong, honey. You are so strong. You are so strong. You are so brave. You are so strong.
Let them have her legs.
Okay,
Push,
okay.
push, Abby,
You
push.
got this, baby.
It's coming, it's
You
coming.
got this.
But just scrolling through the comments in that video, it's clear that a lot of people had positive things to say. Many praised Matt and Abby for being so open and brave, especially during such a personal moment. Viewers also showed a lot of love for Matt, pointing out how supportive he was to Abby throughout the whole birth process.
It's your dad.
One of the biggest concerns about putting kids online for fame is the issue of safety and privacy. A platform called Make Use Of highlighted this in a piece calling out influencer parents. They explained that when parents constantly post about their kids, they may be doing more harm than they realize. The internet is a huge and unpredictable space, and once something is out there, it's hard to control who sees it or how it's used. Some of the reasons behind this concern are pretty serious. First, it invades the child's privacy, and they can't consent to being shared online. Then there's the risk of cyberbullying, as not everyone on the internet is completely sane. Oversharing can also rob kids of a normal childhood, turning their lives into content. On top of that, social media platforms collect data, even from children, and no one really knows how that info might be used. And maybe most importantly, the things parents post, photos, videos, and stories, can resurface years later and possibly affect the child's future relationships, job opportunities, or mental health. Regardless, Matt and Abby continued sharing their beautiful moment with their newborn with fans.
We have officially been breastfeeding for 6 months now, and honestly, I'm very proud of myself.
We're in Vail, Colorado, baby. This is the view from our bedroom.
And then about 5 to 6 months after the birth of their first son, a new and shocking revelation surfaced on their platform.
It's just getting darker.
It's gonna be okay.
I'm pregnant.
It's okay. Yes, of course. We knew we wanted more than one baby. It's okay.
Okay, but 5 months old.
I know.
A lot of platforms and influencers have been tearing Matt and Abby apart over that video. For starters, many people felt it seemed more like a scripted scene than a real reaction. If it was truly a surprise, how did they manage to have the camera perfectly set up right as they walked through the door? Another thing that bothered some viewers was Abby asking Matt if he was happy, which made it seem like they weren't too excited about the news themselves. More on that later in the video. Since it looked like the pregnancy wasn't planned, some felt the way it was shared came off a little awkward or even insensitive, especially when you're posting it for the whole world to see.
I just started recording because I was like, I'm gonna delete this immediately after.
What was your initial thought right there? Like, was it just fear? Was it just shock?
I think I thought I was going to throw up. And so then I literally go immediately to get you.
Honestly, it's just funny. What kind of life is that, where every big moment has to be filmed just so strangers on the internet can get a thrill out of it? It's like nothing can just be real or private anymore. Every emotion, every surprise, every tear has to be caught on camera. It's funny in a strange way. But it's all good. That's how they get the bills paid. And to make more money for the new unplanned baby on the way, they decided to start a new podcast called The Unplanned Podcast. As the title suggests, the show's first episodes focused on the beautifully unplanned nature of Abby's second pregnancy and their life adjustments.
A little overwhelmed with starting our new podcast. It's been a lot, especially being parents. So if you guys haven't checked out our podcast, definitely give that a follow, but we have some really exciting more videos coming your way.
A lot of people weren't happy about them turning something so personal into content for a podcast. It was like they were exploiting a serious moment, something that should have stayed private. What's even harder to think about is the child growing up and one day realizing they weren't exactly planned and that their story was used as podcast material. That kind of thing could hurt. And if kids at school ever found it, it could open the door to teasing or embarrassment. Still, despite the backlash, their loyal fans continue to support them. Some even tried to soften the blow by saying things like, unplanned doesn't mean unwanted.
It's like waiting till marriage. Or were you nervous for the wedding night?
I was not nervous at all.
And then it lasted 3 minutes.
Shut up.
That was my one goal. I was like, I'm going.
It was a weird kind of podcast. Sometimes Matt acted like the host, and other times Abby took the lead. It kept shifting. What made it even stranger was how they'd react with surprise to things they most likely had already talked about before. They were trying to make the conversation seem fresh and exciting, even if it wasn't. You could tell some of it was just for entertainment.
I watched a YouTube video about how to kiss. I practiced how to put my arm over you too before we went because I just had never.
You practiced?
Yeah.
You can't seriously tell me she was just finding out about that at that moment. But hey, it's all part of the show and their fans love it. Still, to me, it just didn't feel very original. They kept that podcast going for a while, riding the wave, until August 2023 when Abby gave birth to their second child, a baby boy they fittingly named August. And just as you might have guessed, they documented the birth and shared it on their platforms.
Are you gonna meet him?
Yes, I love his name.
Oh, he's so cute.
With two babies just 13 months apart, the Howards officially stepped into the crazy world of 2 under 2. More people started flocking to their page, and while most were supportive, a portion of their audience had different opinions, so not all of them were nice. Even if just 0.5% of their 7 million followers didn't vibe with what they were doing, that's still 35,000 people ready to call them out. And when that many voices are criticizing you online, it's not something you can easily ignore. The hate can grow, drawing in more people to view things from their angle. This was the beginning of Matt being labeled as the worst father on the internet.
We've decided as a family that we are not celebrating Father's Day this year.
Turns out Matt's birthday was more important than Father's Day. Since Father's Day always falls in June, in 2024 it happened to land on the same day as Matt's birthday. So instead of doing both, they decided to skip Father's Day altogether. In their minds, it probably seemed like a fun idea, one big celebration instead of 2. But some people didn't take it that lightly, especially since it was Matt's first Father's Day as the dad of 2 boys. But how did they celebrate the first one?
I will say I am disappointed in myself, but I did kind of combine the holidays.
You did combine the 2 of them. It's okay though. I mean, you were pregnant, you were uncomfortable, you were
We
close.
just gotten back from our baby moon that day.
If they combined the 2 last time, why not do it again? Also, Father's Day always falls in the 3rd Sunday of June, so the chances of it landing exactly on Matt's birthday every year are pretty low. In 2024, for example, Father's Day was on June 16th, while Matt's birthday was on the 18th, not even the same day. and this podcast was posted at the end of May 2024. The overlap only happened in 2023. A quick calendar check could have cleared that up, but instead they made it sound like it happened again.
Talked about it, and we think it's best if Matt celebrates Father's Day in September.
Yeah, so we're boycotting
September 18th.
We're boycotting Father's Day for the month of June and celebrating it 3 months after my birthday.
You can't just create your own Father's Day. It's a set date for a reason. Celebrating it on a completely different day isn't really Father's Day anymore, it's just a regular celebration. Even if Matt's birthday had fallen on the same day, which it didn't in 2024, they could have easily shifted one of the celebrations by a day or two. That's not that hard to do. But waiting 3 whole months to acknowledge Father's Day? That just doesn't make any sense. It makes you wonder what the reasoning really was. The frustration was expressed by this TikTok creator.
Felt like he didn't actually get to celebrate himself on his birthday. Here's my issue. Here's my thing. Once you have children who are young, okay, I get if your children are full grown, but they are young, Father's Day is not about the dad, okay? Father's Day is about the kids getting to have the joy of celebrating their dad, okay?
Without the kids, there's no Father's Day. You're not a father just because you're a man. You become one because of your children. The whole purpose of Father's Day is to reflect on the gift of fatherhood, to appreciate the role, and to recognize the responsibility that comes with it. It's about being celebrated, about showing up, being present, and honoring the fact that you're raising tiny humans. For Matt, it should have been more about embracing that role and less about skipping it for convenience. This other creator nailed it right in the head.
Is some of the most childish behavior I have ever seen a person portray. Not only, in my opinion, is it just extremely ridiculous for a full-grown adult with multiple children to be throwing a fit over the fact that he had to share his birthday with another holiday that was also celebrating him, but he also does so in a way that literally makes his wife feel like she has failed him.
When he said that Matt's irresponsibility and insensitivity made Abby feel inadequate, this is what he was referring to.
Father's Day and my birthday were the same exact day.
Yeah, and
it kind of was a bummer because it was those are 2 days
I failed. I'm gonna be honest with you, I failed.
It wouldn't be fair to put all the blame on Matt. Relationships are a two-way street, and Abby has had her own share of faults too. One thing that stands out, especially if you've watched their podcast, is her stubbornness. She often comes across as someone who wants things her way, and she tends to interrupt and dominate conversations. It sometimes feels like she's steering the ship, even when Matt clearly has something to say. A good example is the part of the video where they're talking about moving to a new place.
I want to find a timeline that is comfortable for both of us, but I'm hoping that you can compromise a little bit more on your timeline.
Compromise only works when both people are willing to meet in the middle. If Abby is the only one setting the terms and expecting Matt to adjust while she holds her ground, then that's not a compromise, that's manipulation. Wanting more in the decision is fine, but refusing to budge while expecting the other person to give in isn't fair.
Because I'm down to move at some point. I just know we just bought this house. I don't want to do anything dumb. I'm not saying at all that that moving or buying a house right now is dumb. I just know.
When you look at it that way, it's easy to see why some people might call Abby a spoiled brat. It really does seem like a lot of the big decisions, like moving again so soon, come from her. They haven't even been in their current place that long, maybe not even 2 years, and she's already pushing for a change.
If you look at how much closing costs are on a house, it's ridiculous. The fees and expenses that you pay out to realtors and all these different, the title company and all these people, it's insane. The fees get really high, and so you're basically just throwing money.
Matt has clearly thought it through. He's done the math and knows that moving without a solid plan could mess things up, both emotionally and financially. Abby hears him, sure, but it doesn't really seem like she's listening to understand where he's coming from. She's waiting for her turn to talk instead of actually taking in his point of view.
So you're basically just throwing money away.
I'm throwing my time away right now, driving so far to go places with our kids every single day.
She's basically saying, I don't care about the risks. I don't care about how expensive things are, or if we have to take out a loan, buy it outright, or get stuck on some long payment plan. Matt makes valid points, but none of them seem to matter to her. At the end of the day, it's all about what she wants. Because she didn't want to drive far to grab something for herself, everything suddenly has to change. With Abby, it often feels like it's just me.
And so I'll continue to do it, but I'm just like really excited for a day where I can drive 10 minutes and be somewhere and not like 40 minutes. And I know that there's places closer to us, but yeah, there's just not a lot.
Basically, the main reason Abby wants to move out of the house they got just about 2 years ago is because she doesn't want to drive long distances to do things she could easily do nearby. She even admitted it herself, saying she could do those same things closer to home. So the big question is, if it's something that simple, why make such a huge change?
I just know that I am so quick to compromise, and this is something that's like really important to me actually, so I'm like...
Yeah.
Look at his face. You can tell he's not saying everything he's thinking. He looks drained, like someone who's tried over and over again to explain his side, but knows it won't make a difference. He's tired of trying to get through to her, and deep down he knows Abby isn't exactly the quick-to-compromise type she claims to be. So Matt tried to put some thoughts in her mind by saying this.
I think from my perspective, since you found the neighborhood and the house that we live in, it initially came as a shock to me when you were like, now I want to move. Because...
Well, Matt, like I've explained to you, when we moved here, we were moving from out of state. We were about to have a baby.
Now you see what I'm talking about. He's trying to gently remind her that she has a habit of making impulsive decisions. She was the one who picked their current place, and now she's already tired of it and ready to move again. So he's basically saying, what if we move somewhere new and you end up not liking it just like this place? It's a fair question, and you can tell he's trying to keep them from repeating the same mistake.
Like, could we go and buy a house right now? Yes. But would that be the best use of that money for our family? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that.
I would argue yes.
She wasn't listening at all. Matt tried to make a solid point by giving an example. He said their situation is like a rich kid who inherited a bunch of money and is just blowing it on things they don't really need. He was trying to connect that to their own fast rise to fame and the money they've made through social media. What he was saying is, if we didn't have this money from social media, would we even be thinking about making such a rushed decision? And now that they do have money, he's asking if they should be spending it like this without thinking about the long-term impact.
I'm like, hey, let's put that money and invest it so that it can grow, compound interest and do all that good stuff over time. And you're in your mommy era. You're in your mommy era. So I feel like you're just kind of like, I want to...
She just doesn't seem to care. Deep down, she probably knows Matt is right and that he's making a solid point. But in her mind, she's likely thinking it's fine. We'll just keep making more money online. The problem is, internet fame doesn't last forever. It's unpredictable and it fades. They can't count on riding this same wave of fame for the next 10 to 20 years. Sooner or later, reality will catch up, and they'll be stuck dealing with the consequences, with 2 or more kids to raise. All because one person couldn't see past her selfish interests.
You're just kind of like, I want to spend my money how I want.
I'm like, if I'm going to spend it at any point in my life, I want to do it when my kids are young, since we have an opportunity to.
But then, like, the finance guy in me is like,
I understand.
The earlier that you invest your money, the more time it has to grow. You're just kind of like...
No, she doesn't understand. To be honest, this is the realest part of the video so far. You could see that Matt was using the moment to help her face reality.
Market, and that's why
we do both. We get the house and we invest.
But what if we can't do both?
I don't think we need to do that, because I'm not going to get the most expensive house we can possibly get.
And that scares me too, because I feel like as you get older, your tastes,
It's really not about.
Matt is totally right. The issue for him isn't just about moving to a new house, it's the bigger picture. He knows that once they move, it won't stop there. Eventually, Abby will want something even better, and then something better than that. It becomes a never-ending cycle, and that's what really worries him, that they'll keep spending and upgrading until there's nothing left to save or invest. Instead of building long-term security, they risk blowing through their money just trying to keep up with their lifestyle.
Like for me, when you said that you wanted to move in the fall, that kind of scared the frick out of me, to be honest, because let's say we move in 2 to 3 years. So Griffin is, 3 or 4, okay? And then Augie would be 2 or 3. They're not going to remember this house.
And if you look at it from the kids' point of view, moving so soon isn't the best idea either. They've barely had time to grow up in that space, and leaving now means they probably won't remember any of it. Matt even shared his own story, how he left his parents' first house when he was around 4 and he can barely recall anything about it. He wants this home to be more than just a place to live. He wants it to be part of their kids' childhood memories, somewhere they can look back on and remember. To close it out, Abby made a rude statement to shut her husband up from convincing her to see the light.
Matt, we already agreed before filming this that we would be moving before the kids are like really in school. So why are you going back and trying to make this house like something that'll work for that?
I don't know. Sorry. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about the house stuff, or should we move on?
No, I think
He looked completely broken and disappointed, like someone whose pride had just been completely crushed. That was the face of a man who had already said yes behind the scenes, not because he agreed, but because he didn't want to fight. You could tell he hoped that maybe if he explained things one more time on camera, she'd finally see his side. But it didn't happen. When you check the comments on that video, you get a real sense of what viewers thought about the whole situation. This commenter offered advice to Abby after she mentioned that one of the reasons they're looking for a new home is because they plan to homeschool their kids. She said, "Homeschool mom here. You don't need a designated homeschool spot. Learning happens everywhere. We started with a designated spot and soon ditched it. We didn't use it enough. I know so many other families who had that same experience. This is an awful market to shop in. Give it 1 year, Abby. I was in your shoes and my husband was in Matt's. I honored my husband, and we ended up buying a great house for half of what we would have 2 years earlier. Matt is genuinely trying to make the wisest decisions. Let him lead here, and your patience will be a huge blessing." Another commenter advised Abby to be patient. She said, "Abby, as much as you may want to move, Matt is right on the house decision. You guys should be thinking about investing over the long term, not just impulse decisions in the moment." Most of the comments, as you scroll through, didn't support Abby's decision to move away from a place that Matt considered home. So yes, I know Matt gets a lot of heat for what he says and does sometimes, and people often paint him as the bad guy. But there are times like this one where Abby clearly has her own faults too. Aside from the Father's Day controversy, there was another issue that started when a video of Matt taking care of the kids was uploaded online.
And don't be fooled by me taking care of my son, because most of the time my wife does that too. Abby really wanted to go to the gym tonight, so I'm on Griffin duty and I wanted to surprise her with a clean house when she got home. In our relationship, we naturally take on more traditional marital roles, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Is there really something wrong with that? Well, from what I've seen, a lot of people definitely think so. It's not that people are against the idea of a traditional home, that's not the issue. The real problem is that everyone knows what Matt and Abby do for a living. They're both influencers, meaning their work schedules are basically the same. So if Abby's handling the online content and taking care of the kids, that's a lot for one person. Meanwhile, Matt's out here posting like he's doing Abby a favor by helping just this once.
I'm going to apologize in advance to Abby because I really do not know where her stuff goes. And Griffin tried to rip my nipple off. Abby came home a bit earlier than I was expecting, which kind of ruined the surprise, so I rushed to finish up the job. It's kind of funny how when you've been married a while, something as simple as cleaning can go a really long way. I'm not.
The video is actually a reaction to what people had been saying on their page, at least according to Matt. He explained that before this particular video, the one that got a lot of backlash, he used to post clips of himself doing chores or taking care of their son. But instead of praise, he said people started questioning why he was doing it and not Abby. Some even went as far as calling him the woman in the house, which clearly annoyed him.
Why isn't Abby doing this?
You know what's weird is that none of that bothered me.
It bothered me a lot. Because I'm like, Abby does more around the house and for my baby than I do. And so I don't want people
Now you're about to get canceled again for saying that.
Okay.
To be honest, it really should have been Abby who was more bothered by those comments. After all, she was the one people were calling out for not doing enough with the kids. But instead of letting her speak up or clear the air, Matt jumped in and out of impulse made that video to clap back.
I don't like cleaning, Abby doesn't like editing. So because our job is social media, I do a lot more of the editing and Abby does more of the cleaning.
I'll be honest, sometimes I don't even like social media at all.
And that's okay.
Actually, probably 95% of the time.
and so anyway, so
Matt does more.
They each have different roles at home and in their work. And according to Matt, they try to do work as a team. He explained that while they handle things together, they also lean into their individual strengths.
Your intention and your heart behind that TikTok was to lift up your wife.
Yeah.
Yet in turn, you literally dug your own grave.
I dug my own grave, and it was horrible. I mean, the backlash was insane. We made the mistake of not taking off duets and stitches off of our TikToks.
It was mostly the stitches.
With or without TikTok duets and stitches, a video like that was always going to get a lot of attention. People can easily download the video using other tools and share it however they want. TikTok Duet just makes it quicker and more convenient. Duets and stitches are popular because they let users react and add their own take, which only spreads the original video faster. But even without those features, once something hits a nerve, it's going to find its way around the internet. At least Matt admitted that his hook for the video was too much.
Share your hook. Quote.
And oh my gosh, see, my hook sounds so bad. Looking back,
At first, Matt and Abby had no idea the video would blow up the way it did. They didn't expect that kind of backlash and were caught off guard by how fast things escalated. They even started questioning whether they should just delete the video or try to filter out the negative comments. It really hit Abby when she saw that duet videos of Matt's original post were getting hundreds of thousands, even millions of views. That's when she realized just how big the reaction had become and that it was way beyond their control.
Here's how I knew how bad it got. People were starting to reach out.
People were texting
my sister-in-law, some of my friends from college, other people that create content were texting me, and I was like, yeah, this is getting probably bad.
That's how bad it got. It's easy to see why people got emotional over what Matt said, especially women who've had partners in the past who didn't lift a finger at home. For them, it triggered memories of their own experiences. So all that frustration got poured onto him as if he was standing in for every ex who didn't show up, didn't help, and didn't care. In that sense, people stop seeing the actual person and start seeing a symbol of something that hurt them before.
Mutuals of ours on TikTok, people that we follow and they follow us, and we thought we were friends, we thought we were cool. I saw them commenting.
Because mutuals come up top on the comments.
You can see mutuals at the top. So I was seeing all these mutuals commenting about me and just like wrecking my life, and I'm like, wow.
I thought we were
cool.
Most people you call friends, especially the ones you meet online through work or content, aren't always real friends. Some are just waiting for the right moment to tear you down. And for Matt, it seemed like that moment had finally come. Now, the big question. Does Matt actually help at home? We don't know for sure. Was that video made to do damage control? Maybe. Is it possible that he does help, but only once in a while? Maybe because he handles most of the editing and production work, which takes up a lot of time to do? That's also possible. We can only ask questions. We're on the outside looking in. And no matter how much content they post, we'll never truly know what goes on behind closed doors.
Just our culture right now. Like, we are literally living in a man-hating culture. And as a mother to a son, that makes my heart really sad. Like, I would hope that my son... Watch me freaking...
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You got this. You got...
Are we in a man-hating culture? That really depends on how you look at it. But one thing that stands out is that in many situations, women do seem to get more protection or sympathy than men. If a woman is in distress, people are more likely to step in and help. If she messes up, she might face criticism, but it's often softer than what a man would get for the exact same thing. It's not always about hate. Sometimes it's just the way society is wired. Women are often given more grace, while men are expected to tough it out and take full accountability. So maybe it's less about man-hating and more about how roles and expectations are being shaped over time.
Can we just talk about how the search, like this whole new TikTok search, I think affected the cancellation in 2022?
This TikTok search bar is problematic.
Because then on the video, what happened is like it was like Matt and Abby canceled, Matt and Abby conflict, Matt and Abby
controversy, Matt and Abby drama.
Matt can't really blame TikTok for pushing what's trending, even if it's something negative about him. At the end of the day, TikTok is a business, and their goal is to keep people scrolling. If drama gets views, it's going to be shown. And if you, as a creator, choose to post personal stuff online, you have to be ready for whatever comes with it, both the praise and the backlash. If the feedback had been all positive, there wouldn't even be a need for a response video or podcast episode. But that's the trade-off. The best way to avoid negativity is to keep personal matters private. But that's pretty hard for Matt and Abby, since their entire brand is built on sharing their lives with millions of strangers. One of those strangers took it a step further and created a Reddit page dedicated to Matt and Abby. The page features all kinds of content, both positive and negative, but as usual, it's the negative stuff that gets the most attention. Since it was started in 2022, the page has gained over 20,000 followers, all keeping tabs on the couple's every move. It's become a space where people share opinions, dig up clips, and debate everything they do. The page is popular for posting content like this, which are mainly a breakdown or critical summary of what's said in the lengthy videos posted on their Unplanned podcast. Everything was going fine until one day, the owner of the page posted this screenshot. The screenshot came with the caption, "In light of the recent events with who he shall not be named, we received this message from Reddit admins stating we have repeatedly violated their rules. I am sure that he and Matt and Abby have reported our sub for harassment. Stay tuned. Turns out the creator of this Reddit page suspects that one of the ex-moderators, someone they had issues with, may have sided with Matt and Abby and helped to report the page to get it taken down. That hasn't been confirmed, but that's the theory. Since then, which was months ago, the page hasn't been the same. It's mostly been quiet, with only some moderators occasionally posting updates about Matt and Abby. But one thing's for sure, Matt is the main target for people looking to roast the couple. This was clear during a recent issue when Abby lost her grandfather and posted the update on her page. People sympathized with her and sent the prayers, but something that they couldn't handle was the fact that Matt released a song of himself being depressed, or to some they claimed the theme of the song was his disappointment in his family and how there is a void inside of him.
Media. So of course Matt, being a loving and wonderful husband, decided to drop a diss track about how he's so fucking disappointed in his wife and children and how they don't live up to his expectations and how they don't fill his void.
This creator might have gone a little over the top with their reaction, but the main issue most people had was the timing of the song and how it would be perceived. In the comments, people had mixed reactions. One user, Liv, defended Matt, saying the song was clearly about depression and matched the sad tone of the loss of the grandfather. But others saw it differently. They pointed out specific lyrics, like the line about his wife being hot but still not enough, and said it wasn't good enough, especially in the context of grief. Matt and Abby went ahead and posted a sad video of themselves hugging, with emotional music playing in the background, and watching their wedding video to ease the situation. Matt posted the video with the caption, "Abby lost both her grandpas in the past 3 years, so I knew this video would mean a lot. Song, Give Me Your Worst by Matt Howard." On the surface, it looked emotional and heartfelt, a tribute meant to comfort Abby. But to be honest, the timing is wrong. It gave the impression that he was using the recent loss to shine a light on his music. While the message seemed sweet, some viewers couldn't shake the feeling that he was tapping into the sadness for more clicks and streams. Some comments on the video were very sincere and honest about how people felt. One person even wondered how they managed to position the camera to capture such a sad moment. At the same time, many of the comments were mainly positive. People were feeling the emotions and sending their condolences to Abby. Honestly, you'd think some people online were prophets with how accurate their predictions are. Just before everything unfolded, right after the passing of Abby's grandfather, one Reddit user wrote, "Matt is absolutely going to turn her grieving into a damn paycheck and video every time she cries and pretends to be a good husband while helping her through a hard time. Then make her video a podcast and raise awareness." Isn't that eerily accurate? Soon after, Abby actually stepped away from social media following her grandfather's death, just as predicted.
Okay, guys, I took a break and it was really great. Matt took over so many things and I just didn't do anything for a long time except for be with my family, and it was really, really good, and I feel so much peace and closure with everything.
Okay, I know what happened to her is sad, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but Abby does cry a lot. And then she went on to praise her ability to speak on his burial day.
An important thing to you, it's also a dreadful thing because you're having to talk about the most painful thing going on in your life in the most painful setting possible.
I was so... I was nervous because I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get up, and I thought for sure you weren't going to be able to finish.
With Matt being proud of her for being able to get through her speech at her grandfather's funeral, Abby decided to share her special trick for not crying during a funeral, probably hoping it would be helpful to her loving and supportive fans watching the video.
I don't know how you got through that.
Well, first of all, you know what I was doing. Here's my steps to not crying, to speaking at a funeral. 1, don't go in until you absolutely have to. I stayed outside of the room and just chatted about casual things the whole time.
Yeah.
Secondly, I did not really let you touch me or comfort me during the service.
Yeah.
Because I knew that was going to make me...
So basically those 2 things, wait, actually 3. She added that you should take a gulp of water and drink it whenever the urge to cry starts creeping in. Make sure to grab a pen and paper and write that down. You might need it in the future. While on a podcast, Abby went on to compete with her brother Blake, claiming she was the one Grandpa liked.
Yeah, I was always the favorite.
I was. I heard him whisper that to you. I heard him say that to you.
We had a really special relationship.
Some people find comfort in believing they were the favorite, the one who is most loved or special to the person who passed away. Sometimes it's a way to process grief, to hold on to something personal that helps them cope. Other times it can feel more like an ego trip, a way to feel important in the midst of loss. Another thing I found very weird later on in the podcast when they were discussing Matt's ADHD diagnosis is the fact that Matt seemed genuinely excited about being officially diagnosed with the disorder.
Wait, have you officially been diagnosed?
I have not been officially diagnosed, but I'm so close. I'm so close to getting diagnosed. I'm so excited.
Why would someone seem excited about getting diagnosed with ADHD? There could be a few reasons. For one, Matt might feel relieved to finally have an explanation for things he's been struggling with in the past. It can be comforting to know there's a reason behind certain behaviors or challenges, instead of just thinking something's wrong with me. That kind of clarity can be empowering. On the flip side, it's also possible that, even subconsciously, he sees it as something new to share with fans, something personal that can generate content, sympathy, and engagement. In today's influencer world, personal struggles are quickly seen as content opportunities. And guess what? This turned out to be a talking point for him in another video.
If I would have known at a young age that I had ADHD, that would have really helped me. But when my kindergarten teacher told my mom that I had ADHD, my mom got super offended. And she told her, no, he doesn't. He's just the youngest kid in the class. He has a summer birthday.
There you go. This was a different type of solo content that he started a while back, and we'll get into more detail on it a little later. And then there's the issue with Abby's period.
It was literally like a light bulb moment.
First period in nearly 5 years. Can you believe that?
Abby, according to them, experienced a nearly 5-year absence of her menstrual cycle. This issue is primarily due to a combination of factors: the use of an intrauterine device, IUD, for birth control, 2 consecutive pregnancies, and extended periods of breastfeeding. She recounted sudden mood swings and physical discomfort, which led to the realization that her menstrual cycle had resumed. Abby humorously noted that her smartwatch had even prompted her to track symptoms, despite her not having logged any menstrual data previously.
It's funny, your smartwatch knew that you were on your period too.
Yeah, it kept saying, remember to track your symptoms. And I had never put in my anything on my phone or on my watch that I was getting my cycle.
This just shows how far they're willing to go to stretch out any piece of information to keep their podcast episodes as long as possible. I mean, why would anyone care about her period cycle, and why does that even matter? It's a clear example of how they say things at random, just for entertainment and engagement. But sometimes that randomness ends up backfiring. The same kind of trouble came their way during the divorce saga and with Matt's new solo content. Just this year, Matt started doing something different, a solo-style content series where it's just him lying on his bed, casually talking to the camera and sharing his side of the story.
This is super embarrassing, but I've been sleeping in our walk-in closet for the past month now. This is our guest bedroom mattress that I dragged all the way from our guest bedroom.
Up until then, Matt and Abby had always been a package deal. All their content, whether on TikTok, YouTube, or any new channel, was something they did together. So why the sudden solo move? Maybe Matt wanted a space to be more open and raw without the usual couple brand filter. Maybe he felt like his voice was getting lost in their shared content. And this is Abby's reaction to his content.
For being completely honest, I'm like, this feels like, I think we know now what a big project something like this is, like what this So I'm like, man, will I ever see my husband again?
You're worried that I'm gonna just like never spend time with you anymore.
Yeah, 'cause you're...
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna spend a lot of time with you. Don't you worry.
It's totally understandable for Abby to feel that way. A part of her might worry that she'll be pushed to the side if Matt's new solo content takes off, especially if it grows bigger and he starts bringing in guests or building his own identity outside of their usual couple dynamic. It can feel threatening.
And my wife's not a huge fan of this arrangement. Obviously, I don't know a spouse that would be stoked about their significant other sleeping in the freaking closet.
Since they're running out of things to talk about, and with their entire lives already on the internet, and even their kids being well known, Matt likely felt that hinting at a potential divorce in his first solo episode would be the best way to get attraction. It was a calculated move to grab attention and generate buzz for his new project.
But for someone like my wife who loves cuddles and loves to just like have me play with her hair while she falls asleep, she's not the biggest fan of this. And I totally understand.
That's a big shift. Matt claiming he now sleeps in the closet away from Abby and that it was his decision even though she clearly doesn't agree with it definitely sounds like a stupid decision. Especially knowing that Abby loves cuddles and physical closeness, it almost comes across like he's punishing her emotionally or creating distance on purpose. People are asking why change the sleeping setup now when there didn't seem to be any major issue before. Was there really a need to sleep separately?
Or is this just part of a bigger move, like launching his solo content and carving out an identity separate from her? Or just another big lie is to make people talk about his new solo career? According to choosingtherapy.com, sleeping in separate beds can affect a couple's sex life. Couples that sleep separately may experience issues with intimacy and spontaneity. Couples can also experience decreased bonding or closeness. However, making sleep a priority can lead to a more vibrant sex life. If this is going to affect their bonding, decrease their closeness, and nearly put a stop to intimacy, then what's the whole point? Is this why Abby is worried about the whole thing? Not just about his solo content, but what it can do to them? This is what Matt had to say about it.
Was something I had to do just to prioritize my mental health because I was not okay. I was really struggling. I was feeling awful, and that's why I'm here. Secret's out. I sleep in the closet.
It sounds nice in theory, but something like that comes off as selfish. We've often talked about how Abby's been the selfish and insensitive one in the pair, but this time, it's just bad on Matt's part. They're a couple and they're married. Distancing himself from her could make her mental health worse, especially if she starts to believe she's the reason for his struggles. They're supposed to work through things together as a team.
I want to know who you guys want to see me have on the show. I'm thinking probably people on The Bachelor, maybe some of the husbands from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Maybe it's influencer husbands, content creators. I have a dream list.
Matt's clearly thinking big with his solo content. He's talking about bringing on big-name guests and taking his show to the next level, but this time without Abby by his side. He also revealed that he's been sleeping in the closet away from his wife for over a month. According to him, it's because of his anxiety that the smaller enclosed space helps him feel more at ease.
I think anybody with mental health issues understands that, like, the more you try to make something go away, the worse it gets. Like in high school, I would just be like, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, and it ended up making me so much more anxious.
Some people believe the whole anxiety explanation was just a cover, an excuse for Matt to distance himself from Abby without directly addressing what might really be going on. This could also explain why he seemed oddly excited about being diagnosed with ADHD. In that same video, he mentioned that anxiety is often linked to ADHD, and that connection helped him make sense of a lot of things about himself.
A lot of people with ADHD get anxiety. I didn't know that. I had no idea, but like, boom, that's a...
One Reddit user made this comment: "I think he wants to do this podcast entirely by himself because Abby just always sits there quietly and goes, apart from when he really wants to talk about their sex life or embarrassing details and she cuts him off. Without Abby, he can run the entire podcast himself without any details being held back." What do you think about this? Is there any sense in what this Reddit user is saying? So popularity is a thing for Matt, and that might explain his need for attention.
I really wanted to be a popular kid. I really wanted to be liked. And I think that's because I was so insecure. I thought that popularity would make me happy.
Despite his clear drive for attention and growth, Matt admitted something that caught a lot of people off guard. Fame doesn't fix your problems. He openly shared that even with all the followers, views, and success, he's still struggling on a personal level. He acknowledged that no amount of popularity can magically make things better. According to him, this is something he's actively dealing with, and he knows it's not going away overnight. But regardless of whatever he's going through, I think it's best if he puts his wife's feelings and wants into consideration, especially given her take on the whole thing.
I want to get your thoughts, though, on like how you feel about sleeping alone, though.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No.
Sleeping alone?
No, I complain about it every night. I?
You do. I'm so sorry.
No, it's just, I'm a lonely gal. See, here's the thing.
Abby looked serious, clearly opening up about something that mattered to her, and Matt just laughed it off like it wasn't a big deal. Now that he has an official ADHD diagnosis, it almost feels like he's using it as a pass to avoid accountability. Some people worried that it's becoming a way for him to deflect blame, to say, "It's just my condition," instead of owning up to how his actions affect others. And then there's Abby, sitting there in a marriage saying, "I'm a lonely girl." It's heartbreaking. It's about the lack of emotional support. How can Matt not feel ashamed hearing his wife say that, knowing she feels so unseen and disconnected while sitting right next to him?
Say what you want. I am codependent. And
Why is this funny to him? It seems like he finds some kind of thrill in making her want him even more. What could be more manipulative than that? According to research, with this fear of accountability, these men fuel the wives' worst fears of marital isolation. The men do whatever they must to keep a safe distance. This is exactly the opposite of what the emotionally eager wives are seeking. The men keep their feelings well hidden, but their wives want feelings brought into view. The whole thing feels like some kind of narcissistic attempt by Matt to achieve a certain goal.
Like, went from being a kid in my parents' house to being roommates with people in college to sleeping with you. And I shared a room in college. It wasn't like I ever like even had my own bedroom.
You and your brother used to like share a bed sometimes too.
Yeah.
Probably should not put that on the internet, but
no, it's
too
fine.
late.
He's my brother.
Too late.
Abby's point was actually pretty heartfelt. She's always been a social person, growing up surrounded by family and friends and later getting married young. She's used to being around people, so feeling isolated now is completely new and difficult for her. She was trying to express that loneliness, that shift in her life where she suddenly feels alone, even though she's not technically by herself. Instead of really listening, Matt focused on the wrong thing, making it about how weird it was that she used to sleep in the same room as her brother. It turned into something more awkward or dramatic, throwing in his too late line for effect. He seemed more interested in the soundbite than her actual message. Matt's excuse for his recent behavior is the family dynamic he came from.
My dad just has sleep problems, and then my mom also gets sleep problems, so they sleep better if they sleep separately because they wake each other up in the night, and then
maybe that's why it's so much more normal for you.
They also go to bed at different times. They wake up at different times, so it's not. It does.
What Matt seems to miss is that just because something worked for his parents doesn't mean it'll work for his marriage. He mentioned that his parents sleep in separate rooms due to the sleep issues and that it worked for them, which is fine. But his relationship with Abby is completely different. Abby is a different kind of person with her own emotional needs, and clearly she values closeness and connection. Instead of using his parents as a guide or excuse, Matt needs to actually listen to what Abby is saying. She's not asking for a perfect solution, she's asking for understanding and teamwork.
Them not sleeping together has nothing to do with the health of their marriage. It has nothing to do with that at all.
It can be a marker of like an unhealthy marriage, or it can just be like you have different schedules, you have different sleep situations.
For some reason, Matt just isn't truly listening to Abby. He seems stuck on the idea that if something worked for his parents, then it must be okay for them too. What's fine for one couple might feel completely wrong for another. What's really telling is that Abby is still trying to reason with him, even though he's being dismissive or just not getting how much this is affecting her.
Me sleeping in a separate room, which is technically the closet, has actually been really good.
We're in the same room, but not in the same bed.
Matt says he's been sleeping really well in the closet, but what about Abby? Has he even stopped to think about how she's sleeping without him there? His comfort is the only thing that matters. And honestly, why is sleeping in the same bed with his wife suddenly a recipe for bad sleep? Is it really just about anxiety and sleep habits, or is there something going on that he's not saying? And throughout the episode, he kept promoting the solo podcast.
I talk way more about this in the episode. If you can't tell, I'm really excited for you guys to go listen to it, so you should check it out. Okay, I'm gonna stop self-promoting now.
That's all he cared about. So while Matt was reminiscing about how nice his closet is and how well he sleeps in it, Abby snapped and threw a sarcastic jab at him.
That makes it really cold. I've got a portable humidifier as well that makes it very just the air is so
you guys,
so
as I'm
good
seeing more
and
and
humid.
more gadgets enter the closet, the more I roll my eyes because I was like, man, he's really settling in here. Like, why don't you just get a freaking mini fridge at this point?
She's more or less saying, I'm right here, and you're already creating a space for yourself without me in it. One of the viewers sympathized with Abby, saying, I don't think it's codependent to want to sleep next to your partner or spouse. It's a natural thing to want. Poor Abby. Someone else shared a comment in support of Matt's situation, saying, my husband and I have been married for 30 years and slept together for 25. I'm a very light sleeper. I wake up to everything, snoring, potty breaks, etc. I need my own bed and silence for a good night's sleep. So now I sleep in my adult daughter's room. It has helped so much, and we still love each other and are affectionate. Everyone is different, so whatever works best for you. So yeah, there should always be a middle ground, and the feelings of both sides must be considered. But Matt and Abby's situation is confusing.
It's like, if you haven't figured it out yet, the reason I'm in this bedroom right now, the reason that I have not been able to sleep is because of anxiety. It's because of my ADHD. It's because of all these stupid things that my brain has wrong with it. Like, that's why I'm in this room right now. So if you haven't put that together, I just want to...
If Matt had said he was sleeping alone because Abby snores or moves around a lot at night, that would at least make some sense. People have different sleep needs, and that kind of thing can genuinely affect rest. But saying it's because of anxiety, it doesn't make sense, especially when research shows the opposite. From what we know, sleeping next to your partner usually helps reduce anxiety, not increase it. Studies have shown that sharing a bed with someone you trust can lead to deeper, more restful sleep, faster sleep onset, and better REM cycles. It also gives you a sense of safety and emotional connection, which usually helps people feel more calm, not less. So honestly, what I think is that something was already off in their marriage at that time, and Matt saw a chance to use the chaos to launch his new podcast. From calling the first part of the video sleeping divorce, to saying things that made people start whispering about an actual divorce, to not even wearing his wedding ring in the episode.
By the way, I just realized I'm not wearing my ring. I should probably put that on. We're actually, my wife and I are still together, by the way.
All of this stirred up a lot of rumors about the state of their marriage. Some people even started talking about a possible breakup on the horizon. When Matt and Abby realized things were getting a bit out of hand, Abby stepped in to try and clear the air. She wanted to stop the speculation before it spread even more. But the way she handled it, it kind of backfired. Instead of calming people down, what she said just made things even worse.
That to say, for us, like, divorce is just not on the table. It's not an option. I think people go into marriage thinking divorce is an option. That's why they kind of work themselves towards divorce.
Saying divorce is not an option might sound noble, but it also paints the marriage like a locked door with no key. No one should feel trapped in a relationship, and nothing should be a forced commitment. Marriage should be about love, respect, and choice, not obligation. And when Abby said that just believing divorce is an option makes people move toward it, that felt a bit strange. Sure, mindset matters, but it's not as simple as that. Life's complicated. People don't just manifest divorce because they consider it an option. Sometimes things genuinely don't work out. And in extreme cases like physical abuse, having the option of divorce is helpful and necessary.
For us, in our relationship, I think that the reason we're able to have a strong marriage, that doesn't mean that we don't have conflict, we don't have weak spots. It's because we both believe in the commitment we made to each other.
That's good for them since it works. But one thing's for sure, according to Temple's counsel, every marriage must be tested. It's trust, communication, intimacy, the friendship between the couple, etc. Many couples emerge from these storms happier, while others simply don't. The difference between those who do and those who don't lies with the couples themselves and the sacrifices they're willing to make for wholeness in their relationship. That's what defines a successful marriage or relationship, not the idea of having divorce in mind. But if they claim their marriage is good enough, what about their parenting? They've been getting a lot of criticism lately for some of the things they've done to or with their kids, and people have taken to the internet to bash them for it.
I was having this like realization moment of, okay, like my life just changed big time. And for a little bit, I was like, wow, like all my career goals have to go to the wayside. And I just kind of felt, I was kind of frustrated a little bit.
This is exactly why some people have a hard time taking Matt and Abby seriously when they claim to be the best parents for their kids. They present themselves as loving and committed, but when you really pay attention to what they say, how they act, and how they treat their kids in certain situations, you start to question them. Take Matt, for example. Instead of showing excitement and gratitude when finding out they were having a baby, he seemed frustrated and overwhelmed. Most people in that moment would be filled with joy, especially knowing the blessing that a new life brings.
I could tell.
And I just kind of shut down and didn't say anything. Like I was just like quiet.
Yeah, that was hard for me.
I was doing like everything for Augie, and so I'm like, here I am, like I have all these like big goals and big dreams, and I have to put them to the wayside.
How can you shut down just because you have to take care of your kid, even if it's just for a minute? Having children shouldn't feel like something to regret. Kids don't stop you from chasing your goals and dreams. There are tons of successful artists, business owners, and career-driven people who find ways to balance work and family life. So why would Matt see his son as something holding him back? That kind of thinking makes it seem like his child is a burden instead of a blessing, and that's where a lot of people started having a problem with him.
And I'm like, I'm stuck here, and I was kind of mad.
Yeah.
And that just lasted for like a day.
It lasted like 2 days.
You think it lasted 2 days?
For sure.
Did it last into the second day? Maybe it did last for the second day. But then it went away.
What an asshole.
Yeah. I get so mad about how often women of my age have to talk about what their lives are going to look like after having kids. So it's very hard for me to not get really mad watching this.
From everything we've seen, it really seems like Matt either isn't fully interested in having kids, or maybe he's too young to truly grasp what it means to be a father, especially since he got married so young. That feeling comes through in a lot of his content, but it's especially clear in this video.
You're so sweet. I remember getting married. We had decided early on that we were going to wait 2 years to have kids.
Yeah.
Remember that? We were like, we're going to wait 2 years. Yeah. And I remember having the conversation with you about like,
and you weren't quite ready.
I really wasn't, honestly.
You can definitely tell they weren't fully ready when they had their first child. Their original plan was to wait at least 2 years after getting married before starting a family, but things didn't go as planned. When Abby found out she was pregnant, Matt's reaction made it clear he wasn't ready.
You were honestly a little sad in Hawaii. You were.
Yeah.
Would you say depressed? Like how would you describe that?
I do think that I suffered from like a little depression in Hawaii, which is
Yeah.
something like I feel like I have yet to work through.
Yeah.
Everything about that year in Hawaii, that was a lot for me. But beyond that, we were just around a lot of families with young kids.
Yeah.
That's a serious situation, and it's easy to see why people are concerned. From the way it comes across, it does seem like Abby may have pushed for having a baby as a way to cope with her depression, hoping that becoming a mom would fill that emotional void. Matt, whether out of love, pressure, or not knowing how to say no, went along with it, just like he always does with all of her emotional decisions. The truth is, bringing a child into the world is a huge responsibility, and it's only fair to do it when both people are emotionally ready. Using a baby to fix personal pain or relationship struggles rarely works out the way people hope. So both Matt and Abby are at fault here. This user said it all. Children are not band-aids to repair your issues or your dying marriage. Another commenter said it perfectly. Maybe I'm being nitpicky, but people who focus too much on babies seem to not see those babies as people with their own personalities and then get frustrated the moment the kids start showing some personality. Babies aren't accessories, and having a baby to combat boredom, depression is also an orange flag.
You're done.
This is
After
gonna be a
this,
lot.
you're done.
This is gonna be a lot, dude.
I'm 24.
I know.
I can't be done having kids
We
at
can
24.
be young and hot like empty nesters. Wouldn't that be so fun?
We're having 4 children.
4?
Regarding this video, one Reddit user summarized the whole situation perfectly. From what I've seen, there seems to be so many instances of Matt clearly stating or heavily implying he doesn't want to have more kids and is overwhelmed by the children they already have. Abby seems very insistent that she wants 4 children, birth 2 and adopt 2, whereas Matt made his comments about them being young, hot, empty nesters, seems increasingly unenthusiastic at the suggestion that they might have more, and looks inundated with all the responsibilities of fatherhood. One thing is for sure, if Abby were ready to adopt those 2 extra babies today, she probably would, because from what I've seen so far, she always gets her way, even if Matt isn't in support of it. This just makes matters worse for them, because Matt doesn't even want to be a father, let alone a father of 4.
The whole person was a puzzle. Being a mom was like a centerpiece of it. That like once you put that piece in, it's like, oh, I can see everything so much clearer now. I remember you telling me like, Abby, being a mom is not going to fix all your problems. And guess what? It has.
The whole parenthood thing seems more like Abby's fantasy than Matt's. Just look at how he responds to her and the laughter that follows afterward.
Did I even say this online?
I don't care. What is it?
I would try for baby number 3 like right after Augie's 2nd birthday.
Look at his face after saying, okay. He seems displeased by the idea. All of this starts to make a lot more sense when you look at what happened during the cruise incident that made national headlines. In September 2024, Matt and Abby took a cruise trip with a few of their relatives and their kids, just trying to have a fun, relaxing family getaway. The controversy began when Abby posted an Instagram story sharing an update from the cruise they were on. She wrote, "I actually think that's all I have for you today. I am currently in that phase of family vacation where I am extremely overstimulated and questioning why I thought it was a good idea to cram into a tiny cabin on a boat and mess up our little human schedules for 7 days. But I'm thinking that once we get more settled, I'll perk right up. Keep you updated." This was just the start of the trip, and Abby was already exhausted and regretting bringing the little humans, as she called them, on the cruise. She seemed overwhelmed, likely due to the challenges of parenting 2 young kids in the tight space of a cruise cabin. Just so you know, this was on the very first day of the vacation. On the second day, she gave her fans an update on how things were going. She posted on her story, "I feel better, that's for sure, less fight or flight, but still kinda panicky from time to time. I'll be honest, it's still not giving vacation. But hey, Griffin especially has been laughing a lot and really enjoying himself. and tomorrow they are going to be checked into the kids club for the first time. So I'll let you know how that goes. In her own words, Abby said she woke up feeling better that day, like she was finally in a good mood. But even then, she admitted to still feeling drained. The trip just didn't have that usual vacation vibe she was used to. Normally, when she and Matt go on vacation, they leave the kids with relatives or friends so they can fully relax and enjoy some alone time. This time, the break she had hoped for wasn't happening. That's why she was really counting on the kids' club, hoping it would give her the chance to feel free, even just for a few hours. After leaving the kids on the day they had planned to enjoy a quiet dinner, Abby posted this. This didn't last long. 5 minutes after this, we had to leave dinner to go get our 1-year-old from the nursery because he was sad. 15 minutes after we dropped him off to have a kid-free dinner. Honestly, this is pretty common for a lot of couples. Once kids come into the picture, life shifts. Suddenly it's about work, parenting, and responsibilities. It's easy to lose that one-on-one time and forget what it's like to just have fun together. That's why many couples occasionally drop the kids off with friends or family just to reconnect and recharge. That's basically what Matt and Abby were trying to do on this cruise, a mix of family time and couple time. But things didn't go as planned. Abby was already drained by the first day, and by the time they finally sat down for a nice dinner, their youngest had a meltdown and the moment was ruined. After the dinner, she posted another update. Oh, and we made it through the meal. Only a couple of breaks for walks. I'll take it. The phrase, "I'll take it," says a lot without saying too much. Abby isn't saying the dinner was great or peaceful. She's just saying it was survivable. It's a subtle way of venting. She's basically saying, well, at least we got through it, even though she had to get up multiple times to walk the kids around, clearly interrupting what should have been a relaxing meal. This really shows that, as always, they were desperate for even a moment of escape from parenting, especially on vacations like this. In the days that followed, Abby continued indirectly venting about the challenges of having the kids on the cruise. She posted, "Me walking into the formal dining every night, wondering if we will make it through the meal with the kiddos or be taking it to go." Then came a more direct and conclusive remark in another story post, where she reflected on how terrible it had been having her kids on the cruise and warned others not to try it, unless their kids were somehow different and could actually make it work. From the way she spoke, it almost seemed like the extended family members they might have usually left the kids with were also on the cruise, so they had no choice but to bring them along. It's totally understandable for Abby to feel that way. Most parents at some point feel overwhelmed in similar situations. But what surprised many people is how comfortable she felt sharing all of that publicly on her Instagram story. After admitting that bringing the kids was a terrible idea, Abby then shifted some of the blame to the cruise itself, criticizing the lack of kid-friendly facilities. She said, "As for places on board for toddlers, I have to say I was disappointed. There wasn't anything for their age except for a small section of the splash pad. They weren't allowed in the pool or even the majority of the splash pad. I wish they had just a small soft play area or a playground or even just a safe room for them to run around in, because my boys are active and there wasn't a safe space for them to really move at all. Other ships have this, but ours did not." This added another layer to the controversy. What started as a parenting challenge turned into a broader complaint about the cruise experience itself. Honestly, I think that was a bit too harsh on the cruise. It really didn't seem like it was designed with young kids in mind. They probably just added a few things to accommodate families, but it clearly wasn't a kid-focused experience. Abby continued posting more updates about what was going on with her family during the trip. But then that's where the real drama started. Abby, being Abby, posted this on her Instagram story to update fans on the latest situation. "Our game plan was to play all day with the kids and then let them hang out in the kids club while the adults went to the formal dining, as long, nice dinners is not a setting designed for them. Well, you need to book ahead if your child is under 3, and pretty much all of the dinner slots were already booked before I could get to the nursery an hour after boarding." What she's basically saying is that she got to the nursery too late and missed the opportunity to book a spot for the kids' dinner. To be honest, it came off as careless to many. Why wait until the last minute when you know how important that timing is? It made her look to some like an unprepared or even incompetent mother. With that setback, Matt and Abby came up with a workaround. Abby posted this on her story. "So we ended up taking them for 5 nights, and it became apparent that they weren't enjoying it, and therefore we weren't either. So then we switched our dinner time to after their bedtime and FaceTimed the monitors while we ate. Baby monitors don't work on board unless you're only like 10 feet away. And that worked out much better for everyone." And this is what triggered the storm. The idea that Matt and Abby left their babies alone in the room and decided to FaceTime them while enjoying dinner with family shocked a lot of people. Many saw it as incredibly irresponsible and unsafe. No matter how close the room was, leaving toddlers unattended, especially on a cruise ship, didn't sit right with viewers. As backlash grew, Abby quickly deleted the stories.
Period.
I can see where my story did lead to misunderstanding, which is why I ended up deleting it several hours after posting it.
Concerned and angry comments began flooding their Instagram and other platforms. But instead of addressing the situation head on, Matt and Abby started deleting all the negative comments. Then came the silence. For 3 full days, no explanation, no acknowledgement, just skincare promotions and unrelated fluff on her Instagram. And when they finally broke the silence, Matt and Abby posted an apology video.
But there is information circulating about us that is completely untrue. So we just wanted to set the record straight, clear the air, because we take our role as parents extremely seriously. And we love our children more than anything in the entire world. And we're very protective of our kids.
I wonder what information they're claiming is untrue. The information Abby posted herself, or what exactly is he talking about?
And people started to speculate and believe that we had left our children alone in their staterooms. And that is just completely untrue because we had someone with our children at all times on this boat.
I don't know. Something about their explanation just doesn't sound convincing to me. I'm not sure if you believe it, but I'm not buying it. If someone was really with the kids, then why were they FaceTiming them? And don't forget, in Abby's post, she said, and that worked out much better for everyone. Everyone been the key word. That sounds like the whole family was at dinner, except for the 2 little ones that clearly didn't want to be at the table. Plus, if there was someone watching the kids, why wouldn't Abby just say that up front?
And I do want to say thank you so much to those of you that were concerned about the safety and well-being of our children. As their parents, that is our first and foremost main concern.
I have no doubt that Matt and Abby care deeply about their kids' safety. No one in their right mind would say they'd intentionally put their kids in harm's way. That's not the issue here. The real problem is that sometimes their personal choices, driven by stress, pressure, or just wanting a break, end up putting the kids in situations that are concerning. It's not about them being bad parents. It's about how their need to protect their lifestyle or brand can sometimes lead to decisions that aren't fully thought through. It's the selfish moments, not the lack of love, that people are reacting to.
Love to have eyes on them. We're always concerned about them. And so that's why even when we would, tag team and take turns at family dinner, we would turn on FaceTime so we could also have eyes on them as their parents.
Abby tried to defend their decision by saying this was something they've always done, even back at home. She mentioned that they usually use a baby monitor to keep an eye on the kids while they're in their rooms, and that's what they did during cruise dinners too. She added that even though someone was supposedly with the kids, they still wanted to keep an eye on them through FaceTime. But here's the thing, who exactly was with the kids? Everyone in the family was at dinner. They didn't bring a nanny or babysitter on the trip. So if all the adults were enjoying the meal together, who was actually watching the children in person? Looking at the comments section of the video, the top comments are very positive. A babysitter named Melissa said, "A babysitter here. So I find it's very common that parents have cameras or baby monitors on, and they watch them even while I'm there. It's just another safety measure, so it makes sense why they do that." It's honestly strange to see such a positive comment surface after such intense backlash from social media. It raises the question, have Matt and Abby been curating their comment sections again? Possibly deleting the negative replies to control the narrative? It's definitely possible. So do you believe everything they're saying? Opinions will likely be mixed. It could go either way. Maybe Abby didn't mention a babysitter because she genuinely didn't think it was relevant. Or maybe she knew people would criticize them for not parenting directly during the cruise and chose to leave it out. For what we know, there's still more to come when it comes to Matt and Abby, so stay tuned.